taking a couple pinches and just dropping it loosely into your bowl until you have the bowl filled up to the rim. And then, once you have your bowl filled up to the rim, something that I have heard and tried myself that I found to be fairly effective is you want to do this in 3 stages. So this is the first stage. Take a few pinches, loosely drop it into your bowl until you have the bowl filled up, and then you either take your special tamping tool, or you can also just use your finger if you want, and you lightly press down the tobacco with, this is the way I've heard it described, with the same amount of force that you would want to use to shake a baby's hand. So you're just lightly pressing it down until it is a little ways underneath the rim of the bowl. And then, second step is to take probably, well, depending on how big your bowl is, you might only need 1 or 2 pinches to, again, get it filled up to the rim of the bowl. And then you take, again, either your tamping tool or just your finger, and you press down again, but this time with the same amount of force that you would shake a woman's hand with. So a little bit more pressure, get it pushed down again a little ways underneath the rim. And then, third step is to take, again, another pinch or 2 of tobacco, fill it up to the rim, and then get a little bit more and fill it up so that it's just a little bit overflowing, sticking up out of the bowl. And then, again, take your tamping tool or your finger and press down with the same amount of force that you would use to give a man a nice firm handshake.
Exactly. So if you're one of those people that do a limp noodle handshake, learn how to shake a hand so you know how to stuff a pipe.
Yep. Get that handshake practiced. So, you now have your pipe bowl filled. And then another good thing to do in order to get it all pressed down together and intertwined so that you get a nice even burn all the way down, this part, filling it up, is the part that takes the most practice with smoking a pipe. So what you'll do is you'll take your thumb, put it over the top of the bowl, pressing slightly down onto the tobacco, and twist the whole pipe. Spin it around while you're pressing down a little bit with your thumb. This kind of twists the tobacco all together and gets it all intertwined.
Exactly. So when you look into it, it kind of has like that cigar end look. So yeah, it looks nice and packed.
It'll be packed and tight.
If you notice in some cigars, they do have like weird twisting pattern to them as you fill them.
Yep. So now you have your pipe bowl filled. You are now ready to light up. And there isn't necessarily any special way or procedure to go about lighting a pipe. Some people like to use a match. Some people use just like your regular cheap Bic lighter. Some people use their torch lighter if it has an adjustable flame, so it has the torch feature or just the soft flame feature. And then they also have another thing that you can use to light your pipe, which I actually tried using that when I first got into pipes, and that is the hemp wick.
And so what a hemp wick does is it's supposed to have that similar aspect of lighting it with a match, but you light the wick itself, the wick will catch on fire, and then you either drop the wick into the top of the bowl or try to light it with that wick. The hemp wick lighter tends to be cured with something, so it allows it so it's not burning immensely and wind up burning your finger. It's just kind of like a slow burn, like a match is supposed to do.
Right.
And one other thing that I'd want to say is, like, after you fill it, I usually like to do what's called a dry draw.
Yeah.
To see how well it's packed in. Some people like a really loose draw. Some people like a really tight draw.
Right.
To me, it's depending on what I'm doing. If I'm going on a walk, I kind of like a tight draw because I know that I'm going to try to smoke that thing.
Right. You want it
pretty
to
quick,
last a little bit longer if possible.
Whereas if I'm sitting with people, I kind of have like a medium draw, just so that I know I'm not going to smoke it as often. I want it kind of burning evenly.
Right. And if you take that dry draw before you light up and you notice you're having a really hard time getting the air to go through the stem, then you've probably packed it too tightly. And so the air can't get all the way down through the bowl and through the stem. You might need to dig it all out and start over again.
Which you can use your tamping tool, because the
Yeah,
tamping tool has a little spade on it, or most of them do.
Most of them will have a spade on it that you can use to kind of dig that out. So anyway, I'm now ready to light this up. So whatever method you're using for lighting up, you put the mouthpiece of the stem into your mouth, and then you will go in a circular pattern around the rim of the pipe while you're slowly drawing in air.
And that's using the butane lighter that he's doing it. Kind of like you would as if you're like toasting a cigar with that butane lighter. Wow, that stuff smells wonderful as you're blowing it out. I wish you guys were here to smell that. That was just miraculously beautiful.
Oh my God.
So anyway, as you're as you're burning it, you're doing that circular pattern with the butane lighter. Now, I tend to use I tend to go cheap with that. I tend to use a Bic lighter, and you'll probably do the same thing if you're using a match with a Bic lighter. You don't need as much finesse in the circular pattern. But what you're definitely going to do as you're trying to smoke with the Bic lighter on your pipe is you want to draw continuously. So you draw in and do what's called puffs. You draw in quickly to get that flame going into the bowl, and it lights that tobacco that's there. Wow. That stuff is amazing. Like I said, you got to smell this stuff.
Oh, I am loving it. Oh, that is amazing. That is very, very good. So again, this is a tobacco blend that we got from a cigar shop.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Called Blackbeard.
I just took a puff from his pipe on that one, and that's just amazing.
Oh,
amazing in taste.
Definitely one of my new favorites now.
For sure. That being said...
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a bit of that vanilla, and I can even get a little hint of that rum in there, too.
So I'm going to do a review on the last bit of mine. I haven't filled up a second time. I'm planning on to. But Carter Hall, if you're just trying to save money or starting into it, I would suggest getting that, because you're getting just a very not bland, I guess a bland taste, not really a lot of taste. You are getting that tobacco taste as you're smoking into it.
Right, just that pure
but
tobacco taste.
It's just a plain tobacco taste, and still no tongue bite. Like,
really? That is very surprising to me. That's actually...
Good for you, Carter Hall.
Good job.
On that review, Carter Hall did what it said it was going to do. No burn.
If you're a person who likes and enjoys just that pure tobacco flavor, it sounds like this Carter Hall would be a good option to go with then.
Yeah.
And especially with the no tongue bite, too. That's an added bonus.
I would definitely suggest that. Let's talk about this stuff. What was your favorite? Out of all the ones that you've smoked so far, what would be your favorite pipe tobacco? Well, let's go with pipes first, because everybody likes their design of pipe. What do you tend to look for if you're getting yourself a pipe?
For me, I don't want anything too fancy, just because at that point, to me anyway, it's more of a showpiece. I would be a lot more hesitant to actually take it out, use it, heat it up and whatnot, get it dirty. So ones that are maybe more simple, I don't necessarily need to have a really super expensive pipe either. You know, most of the time, a slightly cheaper pipe will work just as well as a $300-$400 pipe.
But do keep in mind, too, if you're buying, say, like a $10 or cheaper pipe, you're buying a $10 or cheaper pipe.
Yeah.
Don't expect this thing to be like the best thing on the face of the planet, the best durability, because a lot of your corncob pipes are going to be super cheap that way.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, a lot of people like their corncob pipe. I'm still debating whether to get a corncob pipe for myself, just because I'm debating on when I'm going to use that corncob pipe.
Right.
And at first I was thinking going fishing with it, but like I've already committed myself, if I'm going fishing and smoking, I'm getting a cigar. It's just a lot easier for me to smoke with a cigar while fishing than it is to try to keep a pipe in my mouth.
Right.
Another
Another thing when looking for a pipe is, so you'll have straight pipes where the stem just comes straight out of the bowl. There's no bend at all, which most of the time Tim prefers a straight pipe.
I just like how the straight pipe looks. A lot of times it's also easier to clean. Keep that in mind as well. You are going to have to do some maintenance with pipes. You can't just smoke it and then expect it to be a good smoke every single time. There's going to be buildup. There's going to be stuff like that.
Yeah.
My smaller pipe, I've already cleaned it almost 3 times now, just because I tend to smoke the smaller pipe more often through walks and that. And it's going to change the flavor of your tobacco if you don't clean it. It's going to actually taste bad.
Yeah, you'll start to get kind of like a burnt taste because you have what's called cake on the inside of your bowl. It's just when you're done smoking a bowl, there will be remains and remnants that stick to the side of your bowl. You don't necessarily have to sit there after every smoke trying to get all of that cleaned out. It is okay to leave it in there, and depending on how often you smoke, you actually don't have to worry about getting that out for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah. And you'd say I'd probably smoke my pipe more often than you do, because I tend to try to go on a walk every day.
Right.
And I wind up, if I'm going on a walk, I've almost got it on a habit. Even if I don't have tobacco on me, I usually have my pipe on me when I go walking. And that's the first thing I do is as soon as I start walking, my thought is like, I need something in my mouth. And so I'll pull out that pipe, put it in my mouth, even without tobacco, and just have it there.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite of you. I personally tend to like the curve a little bit more than straight pipes. And when you're thinking about getting a pipe, think of the setting that you're going to be smoking it in. Are you going to be like Tim? Are you going to be going for a lot of walks and smoking? Mm-hmm. Or are you just going to be sitting out on your porch or your deck somewhere and just sitting there and having a nice relaxing smoke? Yeah. Those are some things that you might want to keep in mind, because that could affect your decision on what kind of a pipe to get.
Exactly. And if you're a person like me that likes going on walks with it, the one thing I do suggest is the weight of the pipe. Because if you have a heavy pipe, you walking around with that pipe, you want to keep it in your mouth. You probably don't want to like grab it as often.
Right.
And so you want it light so it's not dancing in your mouth as you're going along. It's just staying still, getting good puffs out of it. If you're sitting down, you tend to smoke just sitting down and enjoying the smoke that way. Then you can go ahead and get something heavier because you're tending to hold on to the pipe. And especially if you're in more social setting,
right,
you want to take the pipe out of your mouth as you're talking. I mean, I've tried talking with the pipe in my mouth, but keep that in mind. Your mouth is clenched. You're holding on to the pipe as you're talking.
You're holding on to the pipe with your teeth, and it might affect the way that you sound, kind of like I'm doing right now. Whereas